it really started from everyone on the call who donated time, resources, and so first, just thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, and then just I want to just even say that part of us coming together and being at the gathering in February, the idea behind it was to say, how can we come home and plan together, see what's actually happening, be in space together, and hear what the issues are in a different and deeper level. I'm gonna ask, I saw Jackie. Okay, I'm gonna ask Jackie to come off of you in 1 second, just to say hi, not to put you on the spot, but just to say hi because Jackie Patterson from the Chisholm Legacy Project, she was I would say, the originator of getting people together, Jamaican women, Jamaican sisters in the diaspora, to come together and figure out what are we doing in terms of a long-term systemic change that's not thinking just about resources, but how we use our time and our skills together for really self-determination and liberation, because much of the work was being done by grassroots leaders who were doing very little. I'm sorry, doing a lot with very little resources. And so, Jackie, I just want you to, if you can just say hi for a second
Sure.
and
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, it's really so good to be with you all and to be with you in particular. And I mean, I was the spark, but you were the arc that carried it forward. So it is just an honor to continue to support the leadership of you and Dania and Morgan and the other Sasha. So thank you. Yeah.
give thanks. Give thanks. So what you all just saw, we started calling it Rise, Rebuild, Reclaim, and that was the way we were organizing ourselves. But you will be the first to know we are now the Tallawah Initiative. And so that's how we will be organizing for fundraising and all of the work that we do. That is the national, I would say the US, should I say the US arm? Because we also have a local Jamaican entity as well that we're going to be working through. So I'm going to pause there and kick it to Dane.
I really wanted to, as Sasha said, if there is anyone that wants to come off mute. I know the first time I saw the video, I cried. So no pressure, but I'd love to hear some reactions to the film, mini film.
I was so happy to just see everybody's face again. I remember what people were wearing. So even when you couldn't see their face, I remember like who was sitting where in the circle in the room. And I'm so glad that y'all, even in the mini version of the doc, that you just captured everyone. And I just think people will be learning from what you guys did there, what you were able to do, and how you showed up. It's such a powerful model. I was really grateful to be invited to be in the room, and I'm really glad y'all captured it because y'all won't have to start from the beginning ever again. There's so much even in that mini doc about how you approach the response.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Yeah, so in line with Tallawah Initiative, we're grateful that you're all here because just your presence in this moment with us is an affirmation and a confirmation of how many people want to continue to support the communities that were directly impacted by Hurricane Melissa. And one of the legal structure of it all, right? Because we're in a moment where geopolitical dynamics are shifting almost minute by minute. There's just the petrodollar is constantly in flux, and so all of those dynamics of the war and the cost of supplies and the cost of things, those are real impacts that I think are being felt globally. But you layer that in on top of the devastation created by Hurricane Melissa, and you can imagine that we really had to take a long 7-generation view of what is it? What kinds of institutions are we really trying to support? And so one of the themes that really came forward very clearly was just the role of Afro-Indigeneity. And part of what I was saying when I said, you know, our culture has been a balm. So many people think of, as a matter of fact, where I'm staying right now, right? Like there's a picture of Bob Marley smoking a joint. And I just think that like there's so much of our tourism industry that has kind of created a perspective or a perception of what Jamaica is or who Jamaicans are. And one of the things that we wanted to make sure was that in the same way that our Afro-Indigenous ancestors had been kind of first responders to climate change, in the way in which they were living in relationship as stewards to land. That is a part of why we have gaps in the insurance products, right? We have gaps in we're being underbanked and underfinanced by the global economies. And so it's really, we think, very important to be listening with care, because so many of the solutions for what the longer term vision of what Tallawah Fund can support are really inspired, you know, both with the long vision towards the 7 generations, but then also we have so much ancestral knowledge coming to the forefront. And so one of the things, and I think I was hoping that Denisha would be on by now, but is she? Is she? I haven't seen her as yet. One of the things that came out of the gathering was that Morgan, Sasha Rose, Sasha, and I, under the guidance of Jackie and so many others, will think of, you know, what's the constellation of solutions that can navigate the geopolitical reality of this moment? Because many of you in the US know that the federal government was cutting funding and now is suing nonprofit organizations. And so we're walking a pretty narrow uh, path in terms of getting capital, getting, you know, infrastructure in at a time when the geopolitical dynamics are in flux. And so one of the things that we're very aware of is that we have to have multiple legal entities and we have to have multiple invitations, because as much as there were folks that were able to give cash and donate, there are so many people that have offered skills and so many other things. And so we've really been taking the time and the needs assessment to really ascertain what are the actual needs on the ground, so that we're not overpromising anything to communities, but that we're absolutely meeting needs. And so one of the things that has come to life is a solar opportunity. I happen to have a cousin that is in the solar industry, and he's also from the same community that I'm from, which was one of the communities that was without power, which directly affected how people were able to communicate to the government what their needs were. And those of you who are in the US and lived through any of those hurricanes, you know that the bureaucracy of getting disaster relief from FEMA, there's a lot of forms and it's a long path to get that cash. Well, here, the program that was put out by the government had a very short application period. And if folks were still without power or still without ability to communicate, you can see how they could be undercounted and underrepresented in what the needs were that were being evaluated by the government. And so one of the initiatives that we've listened to community, and we're happy to report we're going to be able to bring a micro solar grid to Troy and Trelawney. And we're really excited about that development, because it's that sweet spot between climate resilience, disaster preparedness, and responding directly to a community need that will have job development opportunities. It's going to expose the young people at the high school to other types of careers in renewable energy, And so that's one of the exciting updates that we wanted to share as well. I think maybe Sasha's internet might have gone down, but just last week we traveled. Oh, you're on. Sasha,
Yes.
do you want to share about?
Yes. You were gonna talk about Petersfield? Okay, so I'm not able to get Nisha. I don't know what happened. But last week we traveled to Petersfield and we had a balance, I would say just a whirlwind of emotions. But let me start with the good. So one of the things that we are working on as part of the Tallawah Initiative is understanding that the issues are really broad, right? So actually, when we first started out, one of the things that people said is like, you're working on everything. And so we said, well, it's because everything is a part of the work that we have to do in order to rebuild. And so what we did after the gathering in February was we came up with the themes that we really wanted to focus on. And one of the first ones is land. Like land is center and crucial to all of the work that we're doing. If you remember part of the video where Richard Brown, he said, what's the issue in Westmoreland is because of the history of people not owning the land. And then if you look even further into that, it really is tied to the history of enslavement in Jamaica, and then afterwards where people just didn't own the land and ended up in board houses. So that's a part of what we're dealing with is landlessness after the hurricane and people being displaced because of it. Another issue is food security and farming. As you know, the hurricane hit the breadbasket of Jamaica and our region where most of our food comes from. And so with the funds that's raised and with the initiative overall, the idea is to be able to support farmers and the agricultural system in ways that can support long-term sustainability. The other thing is sustainable building, right? Like what are the homes? What are the materials that we're using to build the homes? And also looking at resilience hubs because most of the places where people were sheltering was in a school, and even the schools themselves were not adequate to really serve as shelters, and they didn't have I think the communication, the resources, I mean, they didn't even have generators, they didn't have places for people to sleep. None of those things were present. And so how do we actually create resilience hub, knowing that we live in a hurricane region, we live in an earthquake region, we live in a place where all of those things are going to happen again just from the nature of where we are in creation on the planet. And then all of it underpinned by the community of care, because when you look at education, when you look at our youth, the youth that are dealing with the most impacts of climate change, COVID, all of these things. They're the same children that that keep dealing with the repeated impacts. And so dealing with education, looking at schools, supporting schools, not only as hub, but also as innovation centers is part of the work. And then the bigger umbrella is really harmony. How do we create harmony and balance with nature? And so as part of that, going back to the trip now for last week, we've been making and building relationship with schools and with educators. And we went last week to the SAV All-Inclusive School, which is Jamaica's, I want to say only, I want to give Anna props. I think the only all-inclusive school in Jamaica. So what that means is you have children who are special needs, disabled, neurodivergent, have autism, children who don't have any of those issues, right? Or learning disabilities or learning abilities, all learning in one school. They focus on sustainability and environment. There's a sensory room. So when children who they might be having some issues during the day and they need somewhere to provide support where they can just jump off the walls, they literally have a room for the children to go jump off the walls and color and do all of these things. And I mean, we sat there and as we were having the tour, I just wanted to cry because I'm thinking, look at this beauty, because we're literally teaching those children, or those children really will end up teaching us what it means to exist in a world of people that are not necessarily all the same, right? And have different learning abilities. So we left that, and part of even what Dania mentioned with the solar is, okay, well, how can we put like an innovation space in a place that is literally thinking about Well, not everybody might walk down the road with 2 feet. Some people might need to use a wheelchair. Some people might need to have, a different form of desk, whatever the case might be. So building an innovation center supported by, I think, the long-term recovery funds to think, well, what does our resilience look like for everyone, not just people who are quote unquote able-bodied in the space or are thinking about work in the same way. And they're also building a high school on that property. So part of the long-term resilience work includes things like that. And then now, to contrast that completely with something that broke our hearts, where we visited Petersfield, Westmoreland, and I would say, first of all, driving towards Sav, one thing we noticed was it actually was a blessing. So we went when there was a lot of rain, and what we noticed was that there were like what I would say what puddles. I don't even know if it's really puddles, but there were areas that were flooded. There were areas that look like the homes are building like marshy, swampy, mangrove areas. And if we didn't go there when it was raining, we really wouldn't even have had the concept of what things could have been like during a hurricane where people were literally flooded out and wading through water. And one of the things Danisha told us was how, and many people, was how much water they had to drive through just to even get to people right after the storm. So when we went to Petersfield, and we went to the shelter. So there are currently 50 people living in the shelter, 17, over about 17 households. And the first person that we went to was an elder. I think he was 83 years old. And he's sleeping on a desk. He's sleeping, and this is the case in most shelters across Jamaica at the time. So he's sleeping on a desk. And his first thing was like, I need to leave. Come, just take me out of here. I want to do anything I can to just leave this place. And we were kind of in a rush, so we couldn't really stay there long and listen, which was part of the, I think, at the drawback, because Westmoreland far and we only had a day. But even to just listen to his story, listen to what he was dealing with, I mean, it really broke my heart to know that life is going on just regular degular, as my sister would say, for everybody. But then we have the conditions that we have where people, not only in the shelter, do not have homes, and hurricane season is coming up. There was a family that we met with a young child. If anybody has a laptop and is coming to Jamaica anytime soon, she would love a laptop because she's staying in, I guess she has to stay somewhere far until she can get back to the shelter because she doesn't have a means of working in the shelter. And they kind of created a little home for themselves in the shelter, and they have to leave by May 8th. The government has said that everyone in the shelter has to leave by May 8th, and most of those people don't have anywhere to go because many of them don't own the land where their homes were to begin with. So we're dealing with, again, the issue of, I don't even want to say landlessness, but we're dealing with the issue of land tenure, and how to support. So as an immediate thing is to get resources to provide to get those families back into their home most immediately, and then understand that there's some infrastructure that's needed, and not necessarily on a smaller but large scale green infrastructure, large scale infrastructure to deal with the dam and the river and all of the flooding that is in that area, which is part of the issue um that really got exacerbated after the hurricane. And I'll just say, I'm saying it now, but honestly, it was worse than I could have ever imagined when I walked into that shelter. And that was last week. And 6 months from the hurricane was yesterday. So just kind of letting you know some of the context of the things that we're dealing with.
And I just wanted to add that when we were in the shelter, I absolutely agree that, I knew that it was going to be an emotional day. I actually thought we were going to visit the places in reverse order. So I was like mentally preparing to see what in my imagination was going to be, horrible living conditions. But then when we actually saw it, it was actually worse than, I just didn't have any kind of, I had no baseline to expect something like what we ended up seeing. And one of the things for me, definitely the elder, but there was a baby like crawling around on the ground, and like it's like a pretty not well-maintained high school classroom building. Like, and you look up and there's like leaking and just um that was hard to see because as much as we've been sharing stories, Danisha has been sharing the story about what's happening in Petersfield. It still does feel like it's hard for folks. There's so many crises happening in real time that it's just really hard for folks to hold within their capacity, the conditions that people are living under 6 months after the hurricane. And so that's the other reason why I'm so grateful to everyone that's on this call in particular, because the fact that you still care, even though it's not in the media, especially those of you in the US, it's not in the media anymore. It's not like the main thing that's being discussed because it just seems like there's so many things. But one of the things that because this week I'm giving a series of talks and presentations, and on Monday I was talking about Reconstruction, the Reconstruction era in the United States. And one of the things that struck me driving out to the place was it looked like a place that time forgot. It looked like you were driving onto a plantation, and I can imagine like our ancestors just basically building on flood floodland, which would probably better be used as rice cultivation. That's how much floodland there was. And one of the things that I wanted Danisha to share was Danisha had been trying to work with the government for a very long time to get some temporary housing so that the folks could be coming out of that school, because it's a school that students are attending right now. She wanted to have a temporary housing so that they could go back and forth to their homes and continue to rebuild. And just the as we got there, it was like, I mean, people really like from a zoning and urban planning, or all of those things perspective, like it's really not somewhere that people should be living, because from a public health perspective, whenever there's standing water like that or frequently flooded places, disease, right? And so one story that Donisha shared was that the people kind of know how to dam up the well, or just to do some flood preparation. They've just lived like that for so long that they've created their own indigenous ways of managing what a government should really be managing in terms of disaster prevention and disaster response. But yet they have kind of created their own systems and their own intuitions. And so we know that given that level of innovation and your all care and compassion, that more and more people would want to support those efforts, to support the efforts that Sasha just laid out. And so the Sashas and Rika G you saw in the video have been helping us to, I'm going to share, this is a kind of like a mock-up of what will be our website. Just give me 1 second. Can you see the Tallawah Initiative, or does it say something else?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, so this is a mock-up soon to be released. And as you see, this is kind of the soft launch of the Tallawah Initiative. We still haven't soft launched our local Jamaica name, which we will before the end of this evening. But I just wanted you to see that one of the things that we got as feedback was we need to make it very clear. So here you can see the donate button is right there on the homepage, because folks wanted to know, like, if they send someone to a page, they don't want to be scrolling and scrolling and scrolling to see a whole bunch of pages before they figure out how they can support. But that page will be available, and that link actually will take you to the fiscal sponsor for the Tallawah Initiative has set up a PayPal, so we can share that link in this chat, because that is live and it's ready to receive funding, and you can share that with folks in your networks. That's one way. We recognize that one way is going to be all of our networks having networks of their own that want to give, and this can be a trusted place for you to direct folks to know that the resources are going to make their way to the community. You'll also be able to see the video. I know Sasha also put the link. It's available on YouTube, on the site itself, and then a description of our mission, and just the vision that we have about self-determination and a just and sustainable future. Um, and we really, as Sasha shared some of the themes and the priorities, love, care, and dignity are significantly central to the kind of collaborative and organizing work that we've been doing. But we didn't want to just tell you what we've been doing. We want to invite you to join us in what we're doing, because you've already been a part of it, and we see you all as, our first responders, the first responders. And so some of the ways that you can support the work is using that fiscal sponsor PayPal link to donate funds to our overall efforts. We are in the process of developing a giving circle. We're calling it Philanthropy Partner, because we've always, as Jamaicans, as Afro-descended people, been blocked from traditional capital. We've been blocked from traditional insurance products. And so Partner is what some folks on the continent call Susu, and it's just our homegrown way of self-finance. It's basically like a mini credit union. And so we're going to be hosting a giving circle of folks who want to be involved in how we steward resources and how we direct those resources to local projects. We're also going to open abilities for folks to share their skills. We've already been beneficiaries of some of this as well. Like I said, some folks have helped with the building this website, but folks here really need time, a variety of skills, and other resources to support the hurricane impacted communities. So we're not just asking you to give money. We're not just asking you to ask your friends to give money. We're also asking for folks to be a part of rebuilding in a way that reconnects us all to the land that we love, and sharing in the love and the care of this work. I'm going to drop the PayPal link in the chat, but Sasha, are there any kind of closing things that you would like to say? We have about 8 minutes left, so I did want to leave a little bit of time for questions as well.
Yeah, you know what? I saw Stephanie was on the call, and I wanted to invite Stephanie. And so we've been saying a lot of different names, and let me just mention one thing. So we have a big group of people, both in Jamaica and abroad, who have been working on the initiative. And then we have a small, we call it like the mini operations group. Jackie Patterson, who you heard from before, is a part of that group. Stephanie Jenkins, who's on, and then we have Sasha Rose Phillips. She's with the McKnight Foundation. We have Morgan Williams, who is joining me as part of the Tallawah Initiative. And we have Delicia Reynolds. Is it Reynolds or Hans Reynolds? I feel that's a shame. But Delicia, who we have pro bono legal support, and she works for an amazing law firm that is a Solidarity Economy law firm. So we have a lot of different people who have all of these beautiful skills and are working to build this initiative. So yeah, I wanted to just ask Stephanie if she could do her thing, because she's a dreamer. When we talk about Dream Portal and opening Dream Portal and making a way and being affirmative, that's this good sis right here.
Ashe. So first of all, I just want to big up all of the people on the line. But Sasha, Dania, everybody, I just want to celebrate that this week and will mark 90 days, 3 months since we all got back together. And looking at that video and just seeing that in these last 3 months, what has been able to be created by each of you and all of us. But I would just say our leaders in this moment just really speaks to the power of the collective. especially because when we left, we all were so energized, and you guys have used our collective energy to create the fiscal sponsorship to ensure that we're going to be able to get the resources that we need on the ground. You've been able to visit. The solar piece is a whole big new piece that is just like amazing. And it feels like, ultimately, we're the solution that we're waiting for. It's not going to be a major government policy that's going to change everything, though we hope that it will come. It's not going to be somebody else coming to save us. It's going to be each of us. And so I just want to celebrate what has happened, even as we approach the 3-month mark of all of us coming together, seeing the video, seeing that the work is still moving forward. And it'll be almost 6 months since everything has happened. And it feels like real progress has continued to move us all forward. So thank you to the team and for all the ways that you guys continue to do the work on behalf of all of us. And I know that the diaspora is going to be better because of the way that you all are thinking about the work, and even just allowing us to put our hands into the soil and collectively dream together really speaks to us doing something very differently from a place of ancestral intelligence, the real AI that we need for this moment. So appreciate Karen Rose as well. But anyway, thank you guys.
Thank you. I always feel good when I hear you. Yeah, so I just want to open up. I mean, I know we have a couple minutes, but would love to know if anyone has any thoughts, any immediate reactions or, questions.
Hi, cuz. Just want to say, just thank you all. I'm giving you your flowers, all collectively flowers for this initiative. Um, when the hurricane happened and everything, like being in New York, I felt helpless and I didn't know what to do. And like just seeing the initiative and effort on behalf of you and your team over the months has been amazing. And as a project manager, seeing the full bloom of what you guys are doing, I'm very proud of you because it's not easy. So yeah, that's part one. Part two is, will there be a newsletter to just follow everything that's going on as you continue to build this moving forward?
Hey, cousin. So big, and thank you because again, you were also one of the ones who donated. I would say with newsletter. I want to say yes, but even more so, we have a button that we're gonna have on the website. And so if you can put your email address in there, then whatever the iteration, even if it's a video, even if it's not something that's a text format that comes out once a month or whatever the case might be, we'll definitely have a way to keep everyone kind of aware of what's going on and ways to support.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, I wanted to chime in and say amazing job, Sasha. This is what we've been talking about from college days. Thank you so much for all of you ladies who are doing this. This is amazing. I love that you have the what is next. Everything is organized. You're thinking about the community and every single piece of it. I love it. I love it. I love it because some people are so short-sighted and we can't reach nowhere. And I love that we're digging in the earth for the ancestral intelligence, because that is what is needed for us to rebuild. Like amazing. Like I have like trying to hold back tears because this is beautiful what you guys are doing. Keep it up. Let me know what I can do. You know, I will always rally up from up here in Florida. We got you. Like keep it up. Amazing.
Give thanks, sis. Give thanks.
Greetings, everyone. All right, blessed love. Okay, I mean, I guess I have to put my little two cents to it, but I full endorse everything that has been said. You know, this initiative is like a dream, come true, basically. You know, it's something that is just so needed that hasn't quite happened in this way. before now. There's been, well-intentioned stuff, but it tends to kind of be a more corporate sort of seeming endeavor, not really so much seeming like, community, culture, acknowledging our history, acknowledging the wisdom of our ancestors, stuff like that, all actually coming together in a way that connects us over the seas. So I'm cooking right now, so bear with me. But just love everything that is being done. Wishing you guys all the best. Hoping I can, contribute or participate in some way to help things go forward. And whatever happens, let it be that which is beautiful and good, pleasing to our ancestors, and just honoring this beautiful creation that we are a part of. I love the fact that the children are not forgotten in all of this, and I'm really looking forward to the work continuing to unfold, So give thanks and more strength to everyone. Blessed love, Sasha. Yes. Bless up Dania, bless up everybody on the call. Give thanks.
Wow, we're at time, and I want to give Sasha the last word. That's why I tried to hurry up and come up first. But just I'm beyond grateful that y'all here. Muskets are coming down, so that's why you see me fanning. So, but I'm very grateful for all of you. Truly, 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 you've done so much already. That even if all this is just our expression of thanks and our gratitude and letting you know, like, we feel your love, we feel your support, and we have the baton and we have a plan. And I shared the video with my almost 90-year-old. I have several 90-year-olds in the family, but I have a 90-year-old who was almost 90-year-old who was dead set. He lives in Cayman, and he was dead set against me coming home. He was like very not excited about my decision to move back to Jamaica. And I showed him the video, and he it 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 created an opportunity for him to see that there is a next generation of Jamaicans who really want to honor what the Jamaica that our communities have preserved. So like Troy, like I feel like my family has been like a family that has always been of service to that village, and that's why I came home. And for that video, even if all this is that we could make a love letter to the ancestors for just surviving long enough to give us what we need to get to this place where we can be giving thanks to you all for carrying the vision forward. We're just forever grateful and have so much love for all of you. And I will be in touch further.
Yes, thank you. Um, Before I just say my thank you. So Anna just jumped on, and Anna, just so you know, you don't have to say anything, but Anna is a part of well, she's the lead. I would say, let me just say a part of the team, because I know she thinks in a team-minded way. And the vision for what SAB All-Inclusive School is and what it will become. And so we are giving you so much flowers for that work. And I know you just jumped on, but I definitely gushed about the school, and I definitely saw a lot of love and heart in the chat. So I'm glad that you just jumped on just to even hear, and so people can see you and send you love for that work that you're doing in Sab and Westmoreland. And yeah, just thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is definitely so much of a love letter, but just the minute that we said we need something or we need help and everyone just jumped in. This is the Caribbean African diaspora. This is people who are, Jamaicans abroad and Jamaicans at home really coming together and seeing what it is that we are creating from the possibility of not what's here now, but what is possible for tomorrow, and how can we rebuild and recover in a different way. And so just thank you, thank you, thank you. We will share all the links. I know people are saying, okay, I want to come home and help build. I would just send us the things, let us know, because there's more than enough room for all of the work that needs to be done. So that's it.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Congratulations.